Cloud security. What is cloud security? There have been many questions that have been plaguing society for generations. Time. Space. How many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. But maybe the most intriguing and elusive of them all, cloud computing. You may be asking yourself, hey, if this is such an elusive topic, then how do you have all the answers? Well, that is our secret. So you'll just have to listen and find out. To start off, let's take a look at cloud computing and what it is. Cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power, without direct active management by the user. Large clouds often have functions distributed over multiple locations, each of which is a data center. Believe it or not, we are all using cloud computing in our everyday lives. Have an iPhone or Apple product? Well, you, my friend, are using cloud computing with iCloud. One other example that we should all be familiar with in cloud computing as a computer science student or developer is the all illustrious GitHub. Be familiar with GitHub. You will never escape it. Never. Well, now that we have covered cloud computing, let's talk about cloud security. Now, let's take a look at policies, technologies, applications, and controls of cloud security. First, we'll take a look at policies. Policies are measures like two-factor authentication, uses of VPNs, and rules about safe remote access. Technologies include encryption, identity and access management, or MFA and SSO, cloud firewalls, and cloud monitoring. Applications ensure user and device authentication, data and resource access control, and data privacy protection. For controls, we have sets of security controls that safeguard cloud environments from vulnerability and minimize the fallout of malicious attacks. Now, why does any of this even matter? Through a secure cloud, you can easily back up important data and recover it in the event of a disaster at any location. Remote workers can also do the same, as there's no need to physically connect to a network. Also, you need a secure way to immediately access your data. Cloud security ensures your data and applications are ready and available to authorized users. You always have a reliable method to access your cloud applications and information, helping you quickly take action on any potential security issues.
Encryption and decryption. Encryption is the act of converting plain text into ciphertext using an encryption algorithm called a cipher, as well as a key. Decryption is converting ciphertext back into plain text using a cipher and a key. Data is either at rest or in transit, and it sounds exactly how it is. Data at rest doesn't move, which is the case for something like a hard drive or a database. A typical encryption algorithm is AES 256. It uses a 256-bit key, making it unbreakable with brute force. I had to find out the hard way. On the other hand, data in transit describes moving data. Protocols such as SSL and TLS are commonly used in web browsers to secure data in transit. Next, I will discuss relevant technologies used. Identity and Access Management, or IAM, is used to control which users have access to data in a cloud system. The three core tasks of IAM are as follows. Identify users and devices. Verify identity of users and devices. Determine which resources users and devices are authorized to access. Single sign-on, or SSO, is an authentication method that refers to one login for multiple applications. On a similar note, multi-factor authentication, or MFA, requires multiple factors of authentication when logging in. This adds an additional layer of security. Two-factor authentication requires two forms of identification. In general, a tip that I came across while researching was to not use the password password. Next, I will talk about a VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network that creates a secure tunnel between a device and a cloud server by encrypting traffic. Firewall. Some of you may have heard about a firewall. Wait, not that kind of firewall. Oh, that's much better. A firewall is a safety system used to prevent unwanted traffic to keep out hackers and malicious activity while allowing wanted traffic. It behaves almost exactly like the animation shown. There's practically no difference. Well, there are, but an access control list filters traffic so that only allowed traffic may enter, which is crucial for large organizations. Similar to a firewall, an intrusion detection system, or IDS, monitors traffic, but it sends alerts when malicious traffic is detected. Intrusion Prevention System, or IPS, detects a malicious attack, then stops it. Another important topic of discussion is security policies and compliance. Cloud compliance describes complying with regulatory standards about cloud usage. A few notable standards and regulations include Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, or FedRAMP, a U.S. government regulation that sets standards for cloud service providers in processing and storage of data. ISO/IEC 27001, an international standard for managing information security that addresses how organizations should manage people, processes, and technology.
I'd like to continue the discussion by addressing some of the challenges in cloud security. The use of the microservices architecture has increased the exposure to cyber attacks. By transitioning away from the monolithic to the microservices architecture, it has increased the attack surface by creating multiple points of entry. Using the microservices architecture, teams work and collaborate on these services, and at each step in the process is an opportunity to introduce malicious code. Social engineering is another challenge of cloud security. Social engineering attacks such as phishing, downloading files, baiting, or clicking links are common. To avoid these attacks, don't download or use anything from an unknown source. Misconfiguration can also be a vulnerable point in cloud security. Organizations may use several cloud service providers, and this could require the company to understand the configuration of various service providers and be able to implement them effectively. If not, this could create a vulnerability. Cyber attacks are a threat to cloud security, and there are some examples. One is zero-day exploits. Zero-day exploits are vulnerabilities in code that allow unauthorized access to systems. Advanced persistent threats are exploits that have penetrated security and remain undetected, stealing data. Ransomware attacks are a threat and can be launched by inadvertently downloading malware. Next, there's distributed denial of service. These attacks can be initiated by the following. Internet of Things devices or virtual private servers can be compromised and infected with malware. A group of these infected devices can create a botnet. A botnet created from a group of virtual private servers is much more high performance and powerful. These botnets can initiate a distributed denial of service attack, which floods the target server or website, interrupting service. A recent distributed denial of service attack exploited a vulnerability in a network protocol used by Amazon, Google, and Cloudflare. The rapid reset attack flooded their systems by sending 398 million requests per second to Google and 155 million requests per second to Amazon. This was one of the largest attacks in history, but luckily it was mitigated with little impact. In conclusion, cloud service providers have robust security measures in place. Organizations must understand the features of their cloud service provider and be able to manage configurations for effective security. They must incorporate that into their own cloud security strategy, augmenting any exposure left by the cloud service provider. This will ensure ongoing data protection. By having robust security measures in place, there will be no disruption in business continuity, and an organization's reputation will not be tarnished by a security breach. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.